Hey GlamFam, Linwood here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a wig with a lace closure, lace front wig. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my setup here, and I will tell you now, I'm using a cap that's slightly different from what I would typically use, so I don't know how I like it yet. Let me go ahead and turn you guys, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so you guys can kind of see the cap that I'm working with here. I kind of like it just because I'm like, you know, it's more like a wig would actually be structured in terms of like the elastic along here, but it's rather large, so it's super big head friendly, and Allison's head is just not that large. So you guys can see I've got some extra pinning going on, and I'm going to go ahead and just stitch at each of those points. It does have a plastic under there to line it, and then you just pull that plastic out afterwards. So I'll let you guys kind of know what I think about that afterwards. I've got approximately infinity million needles here, and I have my ginormous roll of thread. This is a nylon thread, by the way, and I'll put links to all this stuff in the description box below. And then, of course, I have the hair, the body wave hair by Eullair. That I spoke with you guys about before. Don't you guys like this plant here? It's amazing. My wife just got it. It's very nice. This is the hair by Eullair that was sent to us in a previous video. And then, of course, I have to come prepared with some wig clips just in case. I found this one here where it had like a bonus set of 3 for actually a really fair price at my local beauty supply store. So let's talk a little bit more about this hair. There are 3 bundles of the Brazilian body wave hair with a lace closure. The closure is in 14 inches and the 3 bundles are in 16 inches. And I will tell you that in this video I'm just going to be showing how to construct the unit. Later I'll go ahead and probably get into coloring and all that. So the rest of this I'm going to do is voiceovers. I'm going to kind of skip around some on the actual laying of the tracks just because I already have wig making videos. So if you're interested in that, check those out. I want to really show you guys how to secure that closure up top, and then we'll get into constructing the wig, and I'll just kind of piece it together. So stay tuned. Love you guys. Alright you guys, so here I'm just kind of stitching these elastic portions together just so that way it kind of makes the wig a bit smaller. I told you guys earlier that I would let you know what I thought about the wig cap at the end of the video, but let me just tell y'all now, I don't like it. It's too doggone big. Even with me trying to do this, like, it just didn't fit the way I would like for it to, and as flush as I would like it to on Allison's head. You'll see at the end. I'm still satisfied with the end result, but let's be real. It can't be having all gaps and stuff in the back. Now, if you have a major big head, then sure. Okay, so here I'm using T-pins, and I'm just kind of pinning this lace closure down to the front of the cap. I'm just kind of stretching it and holding it pretty taut. You don't want this portion to be loose, so don't be afraid to stretch that closure a bit and go ahead and pin those in. And I'm just kind of pinning in areas where it seems like it wants to lift because I want it to be pretty secure. Okay, so now that I've got that done, you're just going to go ahead and pin the excess hair out of the way so you're not stitching it into this portion. I've already got my needles threaded, so I'm just going to move you closer. And from here, we're going to start stitching through the reinforced portion of the closure. Now, I will tell you to stagger your stitches. And when I say that, I mean don't just stitch right along the very edge. You've got, like, I'd say for those on the other side of the water, like 1 centimeter to 1.5 centimeters of stitching space in here. So I would definitely suggest stitching deeper into that space as well as further along. So you guys can kind of see here how I'm continuing that process all the way around, and we're just going to do that all the way to the other side of the closure. Okay, so once I've done that, I went ahead and took out the T-pins, and then here I have my tracks doubled up. So that means that I'm stitching 2 tracks instead of 1. And so really I just fold my bundle. And I'm going to start off right in the nape area where you see this bottom T-pin. I'm going to stitch all the way across to the other side. I am doing the flip over method. And like I said before, I have a few other wig making videos, so if you're not really sure what I mean with that, check those out. I didn't want this video to be any longer than it had to be, so I apologize if it seems like a bit too much for some of you, but I will tell you I do have other videos as a resource if you're brand new to wig making. Alright, so you guys can see here, once you get up to a point where all you have is those elastic bands, if you're working with this type, what I did is just start stitching the two tracks together right along that seam until I get to a point where there's an elastic band for me to stitch to. This way I don't have threads and things to catch if I'm combing, and I don't have to worry about my tracks coming apart. The unit holds together quite a bit more secure. And for those of you who are wondering, I do prefer to sew my wigs together. I just feel like it makes for a sturdier, longer lasting wig. I know a lot of people on YouTube are going for this whole hot glue gun method, and I mean, if that's what you want to do, then I guess whatever floats your boat, but I'm all about trying to do things as professional as possible because that's really where my channel is geared more towards. No shade, no tea. Alright, so right here, we're just going to bring it, once you get up to the front portion, you're going to curve this up just like this. Now, from there, you'll tilt it back. Now, you'll see kind of what I mean here in a moment, but I'm not going to curve it all the way up to the closure, not yet. Small curvatures make that hair flow forward. Big curvatures make massive lumps, and it just ends up being a hot mess. So once we have that kind of stitched in place there, I'm just going to go ahead and stitch right on down. And you guys can see I took it nowhere up near that closure. We just want to angle it forward. So that hair wants to flow a little bit forward towards the face, especially since the closure is only at the top and not a full frontal closure. That sounds so horrible when I say full frontal, but you guys understand what I mean. And now once we get to the end of my second bundle, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to singling up my wefts. And I'm just going to take it all the way up to where the closure is and stitch on down, because by now this is like maybe a 2-inch slide down, if that, maybe a little bit more. And then we're going to go ahead and tilt back. So this just kind of helps me to keep from having too much bulk. As you guys can see, I was fighting with this mannequin head. It was almost winning. I nearly broke a sweat and lost a tooth, but that's okay. We're just going to keep on stitching right along here. Now, the thing that is important to remember is that by going from doing 2 wefts or 2 tracks stacked on top of each other to doing a single track allows you to kind of minimize bulk up towards the top. So when you get up near the closure, you don't have like a visible line of demarcation as to where that hair stops. Now, I will say, even though you're not stitching 2 tracks together, it is still wise to go ahead and stitch just over the track as though you're stitching it down to the cap on the spaces where there isn't a cap. And that's just going to help to keep things a lot more neat so you don't have thread all over the place. Because on the top of the list, things ain't nobody got time for, that. Thank you, Sweet Brown. So we're just continuing to stitch. Let's do this, boo. Okay, so once we get up to the top, all the way up, you guys can see I'm seriously time-lapsing here. We're going to marry this track with the edge of the weft. I want them to be all over the top of each other like it is their wedding night. You understand me, boo? Like, get it all over the top, like how this camera is all up on top of the tracks right now. Basically, by doing that, it helps you to ensure that none of that lace portion of the closure is showing. It helps to make sure that the transition between the hair in that closure and the wefted portion is seamless, and you don't have any gaps, no lumps, no bumps. It just makes it look a lot better. Trust me here, boo. You don't want to have the mistake on your hands of doing this portion wrong. Get it as close as you can get it. Okay? All right. Now, I know some of you are probably seeing that bump. That's from the way the hair was held. Don't worry. Once you get some foaming wrap or get it wet, it flattens right back out. Okay, so my camera died, so we had to go ahead and continue here. I didn't want to cut this out because I figured someone would freak out if they didn't see it all the way through, and I don't want you guys to be like, you know, losing any type of sanity or anything like that behind this video. It's not worth all that. Once you get to the end, you're going to go ahead and stitch a knot, and then I am going to cut off the excess thread as well as the excess track. Just like that. So that's literally all the hair I had left, was just that little bit. From there, you guys can kind of see, you can part that closure from anywhere. Okay, so here we're just going to be taking it off, cutting away the excess lace from the underside, and just make sure that you do not get the edges of that closure. Don't get too close, because that closure will pop right on off of there. Okay? Don't do it. Here, this is just water. It's not a special elixir, I promise. We're going to comb that hair on back, and from here I'm going to show you guys kind of how to customize this hairline. So I'm just going to take a very, very, very thin slicing. I'm talking like less than a 1/16 of an inch. Like these are tiny, tiny hairs. Like look at how little this is. Don't get crazy, okay? So from there, I'm going to go directly behind that and begin tweezing this hairline. Now, some of you may be like, Linwood, what the Hello Kitty are you doing? I'll tell you what I'm doing, boo. I'm trying to make this hairline look like it's not quite as thick. When it's super thick, it also looks super fake. Let's be real. Whose hairline have you seen that looks like a doggone Barbie doll? Nobody. Nobody. Okay, so we're just going to tweeze out some of that excess hair. We're not going to bald her up or get crazy. We just want to thin it out a little bit so it looks a little bit more natural when we toss it on our model. Now, if you have a model that has no edges, you may want to tweeze a little more. Okay, so after, well, let me move you a little closer. So you guys can kind of see here, I'm just quickly going through there and see the difference in how thick it was looking versus like how it's looking now. You guys can see if you look all the way on the left or the right, how thick it is there. This just looks a lot more like a hairline, especially when you put it on your model. Trust me here. Trust me. No Barbie doll heads. Okay, so once we've done that, you're going to go ahead and trim this little bit of hair here. And this is only if you want the whole baby hair situation. This is why I said take a very small amount out, because we don't need to have your whole life gelled to your face and all of that. That's just the spirit of too much. It's the lifestyle of too much, okay? Kind of like my commentary right now. You can do this with a razor as well. I just did it with the shears because I don't have a razor at the house right now, and so I had to improvise. So here I'm using Carol's Daughter's Hair Milk. It's a really nice styling foam. It's not too sticky or anything. And I'm just going to slap it all over the top, just right all up in there on the top of this closure. I'm sorry, I'm sleep deprived, so I'm a little silly right now. Once you've done that, you're going to put the part line that you want in there, okay? You can choose at this time to lay those baby hairs however you want to, all of that. I'm just basically encouraging this hair to go the way that I want it to. And by encouraging, I mean like just gently letting it know who's the boss, but in a loving manner, okay? So you guys can see you can easily take this front portion. If you wanted to slap it down, gel it to your face, you can. If you want to brush it up and back, if you don't want all that, or your client doesn't want all that, that's possible too. Alright, and right here you guys can see I'm just messing with this closure a bit. I want to make sure it's going to lay somewhat nice. I prefer to cut it with it facing upside down because I can see a bit better, especially against my skin. So you turn that thing inside out and then just begin to trim off the excess. So here I've got it on Allison, and I'm just going to do some loose curls with the flat iron. I will tell you, this hair was a little difficult to curl, so if you're really wanting curl, go ahead and curling iron it, because you guys can see I pinned it. Even with that, the curls did not turn out very strong at all. So I would definitely recommend, if you're using the Eullair Hair, that at least with this style of hair, that you do use a curling iron, pin it, let it completely cool, and then take it down. Otherwise, you may not be fully satisfied. Or you could always wet set the hair, whatever floats your boat. Sorry I'm talking so much, but you know, I'm sleep deprived, and yeah, I've got a high amount of energy because the later it gets, the crazier I get. So here I'm just kind of tossing through this hair some, and you guys can kind of see how much body this hair has. I do like that. I love the shine on this hair, and it's very, very soft. I should have pulled the wig a little bit further forward. Don't mind Allison's crazy face. And you guys can see like some of her natural hairline is showing there where we did the light brown hair color. So I'll show you guys that at a later time. But at any rate, this is the unit when it's finished. And of course, if you wanted to have it look more natural, of course, start by pulling it further forward where it should be. And then you can put a little bit of concealer on your part line to perfectly match your skin tone. I hope you guys like it. Love you guys. Stay glam. And you are the bomb, boo. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.